Hey to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Imaging Services, Chiro Moguls, Mahalo Wellness, Chiro Health USA, The Goodman Factor, Chiropractic Rocks, Chiro Tax Pro, and Digital Hustle. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 225 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your co-host, Luke Millette. Here's your host, Jim Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Russ Rosen, and if you want to know about old brain and new brain, stay tuned. Now we are live, and this is episode, what number, Luke?
225.
225th episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast, and we have Dr. Russ Rosen with us coming in from the California area, and we are coming in from Colorado, and we just want to give you a warm welcome to the Chiro Hustle podcast.
Yeah, aloha gang, good to see you.
Yeah, man, and you're typically you live down in Hawaii, correct?
I was in Maui for 30 years. I'm here right now helping out with the in-laws and etc. And at some point, I hope to get back to Mother Maui. Absolutely.
Well, I always like to open up this conversation on our podcast with the big idea question for each chiropractor. And basically yours is, how did you get into chiropractic?
Yeah, I was 8 years old. I was playing Pop Warner football, and I was on the receiving team on the line. And I ran into someone a lot bigger than me, and he won and I lost. And, laid on the ground, electrical pain shooting through my body, after I woke up because I'd been knocked out for a bit. And a couple of days, I could no longer feel anything. I couldn't walk. I couldn't stand. I couldn't do anything. Dad brought me in the hospital, carried me in. They did a bunch of history and said that they thought I had a brain tumor, that they needed or a bleed, and that they thought that they needed to do exploratory surgery. And my dad said, he was just in this football accident 3 days ago, and what do you think about seeing a chiropractor? And the guy said, well, you could see a chiropractor or a witch doctor for all I care, but if your son doesn't have surgery soon, he'll probably die. And luckily, my dad picked me up, took me to his chiropractor, gave me an adjustment. My eyes immediately opened. I looked in his eyes and went, took a nice deep breath, started having feeling come back again. Unfortunately, that next weekend, I was playing football again. Kind of a goofy thing to do. But the guy just saved my life. And on the way home from that, I told my parents that that's what I would do when I grew up. That's how it happened.
So tell us a little bit about your journey as both a practicing doctor and as a coach.
Yeah, I practiced in Maui for about 14 years. I had a wonderful family practice. And then, over there, they had tremendous insurance. This is back in 80, 89, 90, 91, 92 area, all the way to 96. Actually to 2000. And to 96, we had great insurance. So I was a cash-based, subluxation, optimal health-based kind of chiropractor. And then I started getting some of the insurances, which was $100 a visit instead of $25, and $15,000. We'd get $15,000 without having to write a report. And I got fat and I got lazy and I got rich and I built $1 million home and I had no money left. I mean, I literally had $10,000 left, just built this home. And one day insurance stopped, just stopped, literally one Monday. We had no idea that was coming. And I had lost 50% of my practice, but I lost 75% of my income. And I could just simply not come close to covering my overhead. And that was a pretty scary moment. I had gone to a seminar that next weekend about how we can, sell big care plans for cash. And it was my first experience with what I call patient scare. And I decided, well, I'm not doing that I'm not going to do that. I know too much about healing. So the next weekend I went to a seminar where Pat Gentempo and Chris Kent were at, called Chiropractic Without a Doubt. It was a philosophy-based type seminar. And I got it and I bought it. but I'd had really great philosophy teachers in my life. And, I talked to Pat and he said, look, if you come to the mountain, you come to this seminar, we'll help you straighten this out. You'll find out what the contradictions are that are causing you this pain. And I did, and I got back, and within 90 days, I was seeing more people than I'd ever seen before, 100% cash, and never looked back. So from that moment on in 1996, never took any more insurance, hardly did any marketing. It was almost 100% internal referrals. And then in 1990, in 2000, I left and I started coaching other chiropractors in this same model, which is how do you help people get healthy and stay healthy versus just getting them out of pain? And how do we do it without using scare tactics? How do we communicate in a way so our patients really are empowered and they get what we do and they want what we offer? And so 2000, I started coaching and haven't looked back. Been doing it ever since.
So what are you really passionate about when it comes to sharing information with other chiropractors?
Look, I'm passionate about a whole bunch of things. I would say my superpower is helping doctors learn how to communicate with their patients in a way that their patients actually get it. We've all heard the story. If your patients get it, if they got what you do, they want what you want, right? If they get what you do, they'll do what you recommend. I mean, we hear that all the time. And the question is, how do you get them to get it? The reality is there's a massive gap that we need to close. The average person comes in seeing us thinking chiropractors can help me with neck pain, back pain, or headaches. And we understand that we can help them get healthy, stay healthy, and have the best life possible. Well, how do we go about helping them understand that in just a matter of minutes versus lay lectures? So I have really focused on what I call the neuroscience of communications, or what is called the neuroscience of communications. And that's what I personally would love to jump into with you guys, is just the neuroscience of communications, what it's all about. Jim, you and I had a phenomenal conversation. I forget how long it went. It was like an hour and a half or something about this exact subject. And that's where I like, to really help docs out.
Actually, Russ, I think it was an entire day. We talked for 24 straight hours, and we didn't eat or drink anything. We just set aside the entire day and watched the sunrise and the sunset. And I don't even think we had a nap that day.
Yeah, it was special. It was really, I got off the phone and talked to my wife, like, wow. I was so inspired by that conversation. So that's really where I'd like to go in this conversation and share it with the docs and let them take these concepts and bring it right back to their practice today and see how it works for them.
Well, one of the things I think, number one, I want to talk to people about your knowledge of the brain map. Number two, I want to talk to people with your knowledge of communication and how each part of the brain ties to how we position the conversation and the things that we say. I thought that was very fascinating. You talked about like the old brain, the new brain, and the middle ground of the brain. And I think that if we can start to tie all that together for the people watching this episode, they're going to come away with so much knowledge and empowerment to, transition their conversations to a better part of communication, not only with their practice, but maybe their spouse, maybe their best friend, everybody. So these are dinner table like strategies. These are inline strategies. These are inside of the office strategies. These are at the airport counter strategies.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anybody you want to have a conversation with, the question is, how much of your information would you like them to get and understand? For me, it's 100%. The problem is in the average conversation, it's about 23%, right? The rest of the time, our mind is going too fast. We're multitasking in our head. We're thinking how we're going to respond, right? So the long and the short of it is that we've got the reptilian brain. And so the reptilian brain, what it does for a living is it filters all information. All information coming in goes through the reptilian brain. And it's all about survival, food, fighting, and fornication. So unless you're doing food, fighting, and fornication with your patients, not a really good strategy, right? We've got to figure other ways to get that information past the reptilian brain to the neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. If we can get our information from the reptilian brain to the neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving, they will naturally drop it right into the limbic system as a new belief system. So we've had Rosenites, we've had Smithites, we've all had patients who get it, right? And they'll go to war for us and they love us and they love what we do. What I'm suggesting is I want to talk about a way to help literally 100% of our patients get our information, and they'll drop it into their limbic system as a new belief system. And I'm going to say that the vast majority, over 98, 99%, will also believe it. Right? I can't guarantee that they're going to believe it if they understand it, but I'm going to suggest the vast majority will believe it, and then they'll become lifetime patients.
Well, the part that I have to disagree with is that the food part. If anybody has baked goods, send them my way. Don't send them to Russ.
Definitely. I don't need those. Thank you. So, yeah, I mean, that's the deal. And the question is this, think about this. What percentage of your information, docs, would you like making it into the neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving into the limbic system as a new belief system? The answer is 100%. You know what? I know. We just want them to get it. But if you ever been with a patient during a visit one and all of a sudden you start to see them drool or their eyes just glaze over, you probably caused that. And we're going to talk about how that happens. And if you caused it, that's the bad news, is you probably caused it. The good news is if you caused it, you don't have to cause it. You can actually cause them to pay 100% attention. You can cause them to be at the edge of their seat, listening to you, wanting more. You can do it, but we have to understand the neuroscience of communications. We need to understand what shuts it down, and we need to understand what opens it up. So far, so good?
Love it.
So as far as the challenge that we have is we were all taught to educate, right? We're taught to tell the story. Tell the chiropractic story. You got to tell the story, right? We're all taught that. And here's a little dirty secret. It doesn't work. How do I know? 1895, 2020. We're still where we're at. If everyone really got what we did, we wouldn't be in the position that we're in. I'm positive that. From the neuroscience of communications, I know that when the reptilian brain is filtering out information, if I can't figure a way to get it up to the neocortex, game over. So what we were taught was for me to speak to Jim's neocortex. I need to speak from my neocortex to Luke's neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. And it doesn't work. It's how we were all taught, but it doesn't work. What we need to do is to speak from our neocortex to their reptilian brain. If I can engage your reptilian brain, you will send it to the neocortex. Think about this. You've got new parents, okay? They got a baby. They're in a apartment in New York, and there's trains going by, and there's sirens going by, and they're sleeping just fine. And then they hear their baby cry, and it wakes them up. How did that happen? Because the reptilian brain, which is all about what, guys?
Fighting, food, or fornication.
Yeah, it's about food, fighting, and fornication. It's about survival. That's what it's about. So I now know I can sleep with all that noise going on. I'm safe. But my baby cries, survival. I wake up, right? I was laying in bed one night back when I had a full mane of hair, and I was in Maui, and we got gnarly centipedes. Man, we got some centipedes like this. And I remember I was sleeping, and all of a sudden I had a dream about like prehistoric times. And I went like this, and I went like this, and I turned on the light, and there was a centipede that big that I just pulled out of my hair. That was my reptilian brain going, dude, wake up, right? This is important. You're going to want to know about this, right? You ever sit in class, and I'll ask you guys here because I know what's happened. You sit in class and you hear, wah, 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 wah. That's your teacher. Wah, wah, wah. And you're going, God, it's beautiful outside. Oh, I wish I was surfing. And then you hear, and that'll be on the test. And everybody, you hear all the papers doing this, right? It woke everybody up. You didn't hear any of what the teacher was droning on about until they said, and that'll be on the test. That's your reptilian brain sending the information to the neocortex. So do we get how important it is to speak to the reptilian brain so it will send the information to the neocortex? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's apply that. Let's apply that to real life. Here's what I know is true. Your patients don't care about chiropractic. They don't care about D.D. Palmer. They don't care about his wife, Ruth, and his dog, Flet. They don't care about your technique guru. They don't care about, okay, now this is heresy. I understand it. They don't care about their spine. They don't care about the subluxation. They don't care. What do they care about? Jim, Luke, what do they care about?
Getting out of pain.
Yeah, they care about getting out of pain. They may care about the subluxation or their spine in relationship to their pain, right? If I were to tell you, hey, Luke, listen, the truth of the matter is I know you've had years of migraines. If I find pink lint in your belly button and I can take that pink lint out of your belly button, I think it could resolve all your problems. Now, if I lift up your shirt and I pull pink lint out of your belly button, are you listening?
I guess so.
Yeah, you're definitely listening because this can help with what you care about. You don't care about pink lint. You don't care about belly buttons. You don't care about spines. You don't care about subluxations until it applies to your story. When it applies to your story, you now care. You guys with me on this? Yeah? Is that a real yeah?
Yep.
All right. So
Is this going to be on the test?
there is going to be a test at the end. Absolutely. So what I need to do is I need to learn to draw out their information. I need to draw the story out of them. And then I need to take my story, chiropractic, tell the story. I need to apply my story to their story. They'll think about it. It'll make sense. They'll drop it right into the limbic system as a new belief system. And it will now be their belief system. It won't be he's trying to tell me this. It won't be she's twisting my arm. It will be their new belief system. I recently had an interesting experience. I used to study with Dick Versendahl, bless his heart, he passed in 14. But I used to study with him in the late 80s, early 90s. And then I hadn't been around that stuff for quite some time. And then I recently just got to edit a book that his wonderful daughter wrote about his work about 6 months ago. And as I was editing the book, I recognized that 90% of what I know to be true about the healing process and how to be a great chiropractor came from him. Probably about 90% of these concepts and these ideas. And I've had great mentors throughout my years. And I was shocked. I thought they were my ideas. But what I did was I took his information as well as all my other mentors, ate them up, digested them, assimilated them, and they became mine. And this is how you do it. When you speak to their their reptilian brain, and you get their story and you apply your story to their story, this is now their story. You guys with me on that? Are you buying this or is that too far-fetched?
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, you take information that you share with people and then you apply technique for them to remember. And then they say, wow, this is pretty important. I should probably believe in this.
Yep, that's it. It's they already believe in their story. You've just added some color to their story, and now it's their story. But now my story includes subluxation. Now my story includes nerve interference. Now my story includes if I'm not getting proper nerve supply. Now my story includes you can help me get healthy and stay healthy. But that's my story as a patient. It's not your story as a practitioner. So what I'd like to do, go ahead.
No, what I'm pulling away from this is it's retraining people to have a better thought process and taking what they believe in and bridging the gap for them to what's possible.
That's it. It's bridging that gap, and it's us having the ability. It's having the specific understanding of the neuroscience of communications, of how to speak to the reptilian brain to keep it engaged so it'll send that information to the neocortex. So how do we do it? We do it through Socratic questions. That's how we do it. Look, we've all heard about the importance of Socratic questions, right? We all raise our hands. Yep, we've all heard it. The question is, why do Socratic questions work so much? So if I were to ask you, Luke, let me ask you a question. Why do you think you have migraines? Why do you think your migraines haven't gone away? In fact, do you have any aches or pains at all?
No.
Okay, did you just see what he just did? Anybody? He went like this. Nope. When he went like this, he thought, I know 100% that my question got to his neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. Do you see that? Jim, what's your last name?
Chester?
Okay. Did you see Jim go like this? Chester? No, that didn't have to go up to the neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. He already knows that. But if I ask him, why do you think this is happening? Why don't you think this is getting better? What are your thoughts behind that? What level of health do you really want to get to? I promise you're going to see this. Yeah, right? You're going to see that happen. So through Socratic questions, I can get my information in a Trojan horse past the reptilian brain into the neocortex. Their reptilian brain will stay fully engaged. It doesn't go to sleep. When the reptilian brain goes to sleep, I think of a lion, right? You watch a lion, like they just sleep a lot, right? All of a sudden, the lion sees a deer. It's interested, right? Now, all of a sudden, it's sending information. The rest of the time, it's sleeping. We literally cause their reptilian brain to sleep when we talk about things and we try and educate them that they don't care about. It literally shuts down.
Well, I think it goes back to this, Dr. Russ, is no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And they don't care how interesting you are until you become interested. And when you pair those two models together, now you can start to have a conversation rather than a talking at.
Yeah,
And
a talking at.
that's what people appreciate, having the, wow, not only did you share something nice with me and something informative, but you actually became interested in me and you asked me things about myself. And that's the real part where you take your knowledge base and you can create that, what you call the Trojan horse communication. You can take it from the old brain and bring it to the new brain. And then you can give them hope and give them ideas and some philosophy and some education now that they're going to actually be able to adhere to and to take action with as you being their healthcare provider.
That's it. That's it. I'm applying my story to your story, but I got to draw your story out so I can apply it. What we were taught is go tell them your story. What I'm saying is let's draw out their story, right? Let's draw out their story via what kind of questions?
Socratic.
Socratic questions. So here's the difference between a Socratic question. What's your last name? It's an informational question. Here's a Socratic question. If you see them go, that's a Socratic question. When they have to think about it for a moment, it's a Socratic question. So let's look at it in real life. Okay, let's look at a consult. Let's look at an exam. Let's look at a report of findings. And obviously, I have 15 hours on this content. We can't do all of it, but let's dive into it so we can start to get an understanding of it. All right, so in a consultation, I believe that the first thing you want to do, and this is nothing new, you've all heard this before, I believe the first thing we want to do is build rapport with them. Now, it's going to take about 15 seconds, the way I recommend doing it. But here's my question to you guys. From a neuroscience communications perspective, what would be the value of building rapport first?
Well, when you build rapport with somebody, that means that you're paying attention to them.
Okay. Absolutely. Luke, you add anything to that?
I'm just trying to keep up with everything right now.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, so Jim, so here's the deal. If we don't have rapport, then you don't believe me. You don't trust me. If we have rapport, cool, thanks. If you have rapport, then they open up to you, right? What happens with human beings when we meet each other is we literally sniff each other under the tail. That's what we're doing. When we meet each other, we are sniffing each other under the table and we're saying friend or foe. If it's foe, we're in the amygdala. The amygdala is fight or flight. No information makes it up to the neocortex for thinking and reasoning. I don't need to think about how big that lion is and how much it weighs. I need to run. That's the amygdala. So when I do that and I say friend or foe, if it's foe, we're in trouble. If it's friend, it opens up. So I want to build rapport. Next thing I want to do is relieve concerns and fears. Why do I want to relieve concerns and fears? Guys?
So they open up.
So they open up because if they're in their amygdala, right, they can't hear me. So I just take like 30, 40 seconds. I build rapport. I relieve concerns and fears. Arms uncrossed, legs uncrossed. And let me ask you, has anyone ever come to see a chiropractor, including you, that had anxiety, stress, fear? Yes, all the time. She's going to hurt me. He's going to try and make me sign up for a big plan. But blah, blah, blah. They got that. So I have to relieve the concerns and fears. Now, let's dive deeper. Let's dive deep. This is so much fun for me because I've yet to ever have anybody know what I'm about to talk about. And everyone so far, and we're talking hundreds and hundreds of people, have been like, far out. That's really cool. I'm going to use it. And when you use it, you get amazing results. So when we take a history, right, when we're gathering in their information and we're gathering their story, I want to give you a template that you can use from the Neuroscience of Communications using Socratic questions, okay? And here's how it goes. I'm going to recommend that you summarize what you read from their history. Jim, I see that you've got neck pain going into your shoulder. I know that you're a roofer. And I know that you're concerned about losing your job. Whatever it is, just give a summary of what you know about them and ask them this question. Please, tell me more about it. I'm begging you, don't ask the doctor questions. When did it start? What makes it better? What makes it worse? Tell me the timing, blah, 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 blah. Do you see that when you're asking those questions, you're asking pointed questions? You're not asking Socratic questions that are making them think and talk about what's most important to them. I want you to talk about what's most important to you. If you're telling me your story, are you engaged? Yes, of course you're engaged because, Jim, as you well know, what interests people the most is what?
Them.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Imaging Services, Chiro Moguls, Mahalo Wellness, Chiro Health USA, The Goodman Factor, Chiropractic Rocks, Chiro Tax Pro, and Digital Hustle. Let's hustle.
It's them. That's their favorite subject. They can't talk to their wife anymore about it. Can't talk to their husband anymore about their shoulder pain. No one wants to listen anymore. But when you're asking them about their story, they're 100% engaged, which means 100% of that information is making it to the neocortex. For what? Jim, for what? Neocortex.
New belief systems.
Yeah, thinking, reasoning, and problem solving that drop into the limbic system is new belief systems, right? That's how it works. So if I'm drawing their story out of them, they are 100%, I just spit all over that, didn't I? They are 100% engaged. Now, if I can just simply take my story and apply it to their story, aha. Now I know that what percentage is making it up to the neocortex for thinking and reasoning? 100%, which we all agreed we want. So far, so good? Now, you good?
Oh, yeah.
All right. When I say to you, Jim, I understand this is going on. Please tell me more about it. You are only going to answer in one of three ways. It is impossible to give me another answer. These three possibilities are: you will talk about your diagnosis or lack of diagnosis, you will talk about your pain, or you will talk about how your pain affects your life. I will not say, Jim, I understand that you got this shoulder pain, it's affecting you, you're concerned about losing your job, tell me more about it. And you say, blue Corvette. It's not going to happen. There are only three possible answers: diagnosis or lack of diagnosis, pain, how does it affect your life? Now, regardless of what they say, I want you to understand that this is a story that we're starting to have with them. We're having a conversation. There's nothing to memorize. It's just heart-to-heart, authentic story conversation. But I know where it's going. I know where this is being led because I'm leading it. They won't feel it, but that's what's happening. So I am going to do two things. Number one, I'm going to commiserate or acknowledge, whichever one feels most appropriate in this situation, and I'll show you what I mean by that. And then I'm going to connect the dots and make the picture bigger. I'm going to start to connect my story to their story. You guys with me? So if you say, Jim, I understand you got going on, please tell me more about it. And Jim says, man, I got to tell you, I'm just so frustrated. I've seen a dozen different doctors. No one's been able to help me. This doctor gets me on this drug. Now I'm constipated. This doctor got me on this drug. Now I'm impotent. This doctor got me on this drug. And now my face is breaking out. Like, I'm just so frustrated. Trust me, you start to talk about their symptoms and you will lose them. You will find that this consultation goes on forever because we never acknowledge their frustration. And they're still frustrated. So they have to keep hitting the play button and saying the same thing over and over and over again. And doctors tell me this all the time. I'm with a patient, I'm asked, and they just keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. They didn't feel heard. That's why. So if I can acknowledge that, Luke, if I said to you, you're the doctor, I'm the patient, if I said to you, I got to tell you, I'm just so frustrated. How could you very quickly acknowledge my frustration?
I would ask, tell me more.
Yeah, okay. You tell me more about that. Sure, you're right there with me. And you could also say, I'm so sorry for what you've been through. Right? I'm so sorry you've been through that. I know how frustrating it is. Now, I'm going to take my story and I'm going to apply it to your story. And here's how it goes. Luke, I got to tell you, I'm so sorry that you're so frustrated, and I completely understand it. I need to tell you that probably 8 out of 10 people who come and see me are just like you. They've already seen a dozen other doctors. Unfortunately, I'm rarely the first person people come to. But let's see if we can really figure out the underlying cause of what's going on, and let's see if we can truly help you resolve this once and for all. How's that sound, Luke?
Sounds good to me.
Man, I'm there. That's it. I put a pin in that. He's fine. He heard that, right? I've acknowledged it. And I also took this extra bit of a story, which is most people that come and see me are just like you. Most people have seen lots of other practitioners and not gotten help, but most of the people that do come here like you get help. Now, I could educate you about that. I could say, Luke, I want to let you know that in this office, most people blah, 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 blah. But you're not going to get it. You will get it the way we just did it. Jim, you with me on this? Did that piece make sense for number one?
Oh yeah, I've heard this strategy by one of our sponsors, Tori Robeson. He is a master communicator and he walks people down the line, and he has something quite similar to that. And it's amazing, the taking somebody from maybe not so interested to, most people, us, them, you, me. Oh,
Social
well,
proof.
I want this too.
That's it.
So it's a way to build. I understand how you feel. I'd have felt the same way, but what I found is most people that come see us, you would be amazed the solutions that we find for people with that same type of thing.
That's
So
it. Right out of Cialdini, right? Feel, felt, found. Social proof. I mean, and again, in my modules that I have, I literally address all of that in there. I'm not doing it now because we don't have the time. But yeah, like, and I know you know because we've had the conversation. I know you get this. Yeah.
And we were talking about, communicating chiropractic from my level and how I make breakthroughs with people, and how communicating chiropractic from your level and how you make breakthroughs with people, and how you can help your clients serve more people with these techniques of communication, taking people from the old brain to the new brain, to the new behavior, to the new communication.
That's it. New belief systems. So you say, I understand you got going on. Tell me more about it. 1, I am frustrated. We know how to deal with that. 2, I have pain. Here's what that sounds like. That's what it sounds like. I have pain, right? And how do you handle that? So sorry to hear that, right? Acknowledge or commiserate. OPQRST of pain. Everybody knows that. When did it start? What makes it better? What makes it worse? You're going to do that. You're a doctor. You do it all the time. Great. That's easy. Here's what you're going to hear 70 to 80% of the time. I have pain every time I blank. I have pain and now I can't blank. I have pain and I'm afraid I won't be able to blank. Trust me on this. They don't want to talk about their pain. What do they want to talk about? Blank. That's what they want to talk about. I have pain and I can't serve. I have pain and I'm afraid I'm going to have to quit my job. I have pain and I'm afraid my wife will leave me. That's what they want to talk about. That's their story. And if you want to draw their story out of them so that you can apply your story to them, talk about blank. So here's how we do it. I'm going to acknowledge. So sorry to hear that. And then I'm going to have a conversation along this continuum. Okay. I'm going to talk about performance. I'm going to talk about I might be having to do it less, or I am having to do it less. And then I'm going to talk about I might have to quit altogether, or I've already had to quit altogether. Now, when we're talking about this continuum, I am going to add my story to that. And it's going to go right under the radar, and it will be their story. And they will walk out and say to their spouse, I just don't want to get feeling better so I can golf again. I really want to resolve this once and for all so I can get healthy and stay healthy. I promise you, that's what they will say. That'll be their story, and it's going to take us moments to get there. So pause. We're just going to take a look at in the report of findings. So I'm going to recommend we talk to our patients and we talk about -10, path to optimal health. Path to optimal health. -10 means near death. And how do we know it's near death? Because you're in hospice care. Okay, 0, which means you feel comfortable. And how do we know it? Because you feel good, but if we redid all your tests, they wouldn't be clear. You're not functioning at your optimum. And then there's +10, which means you're as healthy as you can be. How do we know? All the tests are clear, right? You're vibrant. You're as healthy as you can be. So this is seeds I'm starting to plant. So when I do get here and in the report of findings, I say, so you got a choice, right? You can do this or somewhere in between. What do you want? It's not even a question. There's no manipulation. They just go, well, of course I want to get healthy. Of course I want to resolve this, because we've planted these ideas in here starting right now. So far, so good?
Yep.
Okay. So I don't care whether you are work, play, or home. The story is exactly the same. Work. I don't care if you're swinging a hammer. Play. I don't care if you're swinging a golf club. Home. I don't care if you're swinging your grandchild. It doesn't matter. This story, remember, there's nothing to memorize. It's just a story, just a conversation. This story applies regardless. Okay? So let's have fun. Let's play with this. Luke, talk to me about the performance of, let's say, a roofer. What does a roofer do?
He puts roofs on top of houses.
Good. He puts roofs on top of houses. And tell me what he's doing on the job.
Probably sawing wood and hammering nails.
Yeah, I'm bending over, swinging hammer. I'm carrying shingles up to roofs. So if I'm going to talk to a roofer about is it affecting your performance, all I have to do is imagine what a roofer does. Imagine what a podcast host does. So I would assume as a podcast host, you need to be able to sit and be very present with the person you're doing it with so that you can ask appropriate questions and have a good conversation with them and be engaging. And when you have this pounding headache, how is that affecting you on the job? It's a very different question than, hey, how's this affecting your life? We've all asked that question and we get it. Not a good question. How's this affecting you on the job? Most common answer from a man. I can handle it. Now where do you go? There's nowhere to go with it, right? As a teacher. So what do teachers do? Anyway, we'll say, Jim, or you pick a profession. Pick a profession, any profession.
Baseball.
Baseball player. What does a baseball player have to do performance-wise?
Throw, catch, hit.
Yeah, throw, catch, hit, run, move, right? And when you've got this terrible low back pain, how is that affecting your ability to throw, catch, hit, move? Do you see what a different question that is? Yeah? So I'm going to talk about their performance. How is it affecting their performance? It's going to make it real for them. Now I'm going to go in this direction, and I'm going to talk about performance less than. So, Jim, let me ask you a question. Are you concerned that if this were to progressively worsen, that you're going to have to play less? Or, Jim, let me ask you a question. Have you had to miss some games? Or, Jim, let me ask you a question. Have you had to miss some practice, or are you concerned that you're going to miss some? Do you see? It's just, are you concerned that you're going to have to do less, or have you already done less, right? We got to bring them out of the river in Egypt called denial, right? And we got to help them understand. Now, that's very different than me ruining you, right? We've all been exposed to that. I'm going to ruin you, and I'm going to make a mountain out of a molehill, and I'm going to help you understand that this is going to progressively worsen. And what if this progressively worsens and people feel manipulated? I'm not doing that. I literally am curious as to whether you, Jim, are concerned that you're going to have to play less. It's just a genuine concern. That same conversation leads to, and if that were to progressively worsen, this is my story. If this were to progressively worsen, are you concerned that you might have to stop altogether? And they will go like this. Yeah. So if I understand it correctly, Jim, you don't just want to get feeling better so you can continue to play baseball. You would like to resolve this once and for all so you can continue to play baseball. Jim, is that true?
Yes.
I'm home. That's all that needed to happen in that part of the consultation. That's it. Now, I know you're thinking, what happens if they say no? Yeah, okay. So I said to Jim, is this, he said, he's here and it's really affecting his baseball. And I said, all right, tell me more about how it's affecting your baseball. And he says this to me. Oh, yeah, I just wrote that down. Back when I was a kid, one time that happened, but it's really not a problem now at all. Am I now going to say, are you concerned you're going to have to quit baseball? Dude, it'd be stupid. Instead, I need to find out why Jim is here right now. I literally need to know, why are you here right now? Jim, what question could I ask to find out why they're here right now?
Did you injure yourself?
Okay, yes, and those are all the doctor questions that we can ask, and I'm with you 100%. But here's the deal. $1 million question. Hey, Jim, let me ask you a question. Clearly, baseball is not why you're here. Why now? Why are you here right now? I promise you the next words out of their mouth are why they're here right now. Well, I'm not worried about baseball. I'm worried about my job. I'm not worried about my job. My dad had this, ended up having a surgery and died. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about being hunched over like my mother. I want to get to the core issue. I want to get to why they're here right now as soon as possible. And I'm telling you, done this way, 3, 4, 5 minutes, you can find it. Now, exact same thing, swinging a golf club, just for fun. Luke, if we're talking performance of a golfer, what questions might I ask a golfer about performance?
How is this affecting your range of motion?
Yep, and that might affect your short game. It might affect your long game. And for a golfer, the number one question I'm definitely going to ask him is, how is it affecting your
Swing?
score? Yeah, your score. Because golfers, man, that's a big deal. How's it affecting your score? That's performance. Performance of picking up your grandchild. It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. It's just a story. But I got to take this and I got to apply it right to their story. And they took it and they dropped it right into their limbic system as a new belief system. Now, we're literally 3 or 4, maybe 5 minutes into the consultation right now. That's it. And we've already planted these seeds. Now, I know we're 45 minutes. I don't know how long we're allowed to go. We can look at the exam. We could look at the reported findings. We can look at other things where I can show you how we do that. Unless I didn't mean, I forgot to ask how long this was supposed to go. So
We're about at our time right now.
Okay, fair enough.
Before we get where can you find your company? Where can they learn this?
Yeah, good. Thank you. You can, here's what I've done is I've put together, if you go to so THEOHC, Optimal Health Chiropractic. So the ohcsystem.com/hustle. If you go to that, there's 3 things that I'm going to give you there. Now, we were just talking offline about this, that I didn't know we were going to be live, and I don't know if it's been fixed yet. So you might only see one thing that I'm giving you, but I'll give you 3. The first one is there's a webinar, an hour webinar called the Science of Yes, how to get people to say it, mean it, and follow through with it, where I go into great detail about the exam and the reported findings. I go into great detail about how to use this brochure to get people to say out loud, I understand that I have a subluxation that could be because of my headaches as well as sinus problems and my mid-back pain as well as indigestion. I understand what brought it on. I understand what will happen if I don't get it taken care of. And if I do, wow, I can not only feel better and prevent problems in the future, but I literally can have a better life. I get that this is a health problem. It's not a back problem. And I understand that you can help me get healthy and stay healthy. Okay. And so I show you exactly how to do that. You know, it'll take 3-4 minutes in real time. And I also go into great detail about the report of findings. And so I'll also give you this. It's a PDF, and you can go print it up for yourself and use it as many times for the rest of your life. And it will just be good karma for me. And the last thing that you get on there is if you're serious about growth and you'd like to see how I might be able to help you, I give you a link that you can go for a full hour strategy call with me. So you fill out a detailed questionnaire and we look at where you're at, where you might want to get to, and then we see if I can help you. If you go to the link and that isn't fixed yet, and all you see is that Science of Yes, just email me and I will personally send you these other 2 things. So my bad on this. But Dr. Rosen, DrRosen at the ohcsystem.com, and I will send you those other things.
We make sure that link gets posted for sure.
Please.
And before we wrap up today, is it okay if I do a quick speed round with you and ask you some of our core questions?
Yeah, let it rip.
So who is maybe some of your chiropractic heroes?
Well, I mean, look, obviously, BJ and Didi, obviously, but Patch and Tempo is one of my all-time heroes of all time as a human being and as a chiropractor. Christopher Kent, all-time heroes. And then I'm a technique freak. So all of my technique gurus, Ted Morter, Dick Versendahl, Donnie Epstein, George Gonzalez, John Turner, Scott Walker, these people have dramatically changed my lives. So
if you could take one person from all of history to have a cup of coffee with, who would it be?
One person through all of history. Oh, goodness. I know this sounds ridiculous. Well, I take back, it doesn't sound ridiculous. I think it would have to be BJ. It'd be BJ or Didi. And there's Moses and Buddha and Krishna and Jesus and those folks too. So they'd probably be up there. But with what I do for a living, it'd be so far out to sit down with those characters. So yeah, probably them.
Piece of advice for a chiropractic student: if you had 3 floors in the elevator with them.
If I had 3 floors in the elevator, I'd see be your authentic self. Be a human being, not just a doctor. Care about these people. Don't allow yourself to slip into manipulation. Always be honest and have integrity. And when you're with them, find the zone. When you find the zone and when you're in that magical spot, magic happens. And you want to get magic with your patients. You want to have magical responses. And I can tell you all kinds of stories of things I've seen that will blow your mind. It's going to become because you didn't have this, but you opened up and you were guided by them, right? Let their innate wisdom guide you, and you'll be amazed at what happens.
Should chiropractic students pick their college based on geographic location?
Look, here's the deal. I'm going through this with my daughter right now because she's going to be going to chiropractic school. Yes and no. If you're a pain-based chiropractor and you just want to help people feel better and you don't really buy the concept of the subluxation, absolutely. There's a bunch of them out there that you're going to get the same education. If you want to be what I call a real chiropractor, where you want to help people get healthy and stay healthy, and I get that sounds terrible, but it just is what it is. And it's not that I don't honor people who help people get feeling better, but if you understand that there's something called a subluxation and that we can help people get healthy and stay healthy and have the best life possible, then no, there's only a couple of schools that you're going to get that education. And I to this date, there's 53. Okay, to this date, I have a chiropractor who started working with me 53 years in practice, never having made it. 53 years in practice, having misery. And once he got these concepts and understood what a real subluxation is, et cetera, and he started having the life of his dreams, right? He was like, dang, I wish I would have known that earlier. So no, I'd find one of the great schools out there, and there's only a couple, and go to one of those.
We know you love to surf. Do you have any other hobbies? What else do you do for fun?
Well, now that I'm in California, and I'm not surfing, my backyard is a boat dock. I've never done any boating before, so we're on the bottom of the delta. So I have a boat now. So I've been doing boating. I just got back from boating right now. I have my stand-up paddle board. I have my 18-foot surf ski, and I have other pedal kayaks and stuff. So I'm on the water as much as I can. I knew if I had to move to California, I had to be on the water, or I was going to probably slip my wrist. So,
last for you.
What's that?
There's one book that everybody should read. What is it?
Oh man! See these ones when you say one, my mind doesn't work that way.
So you can't answer two.
I can't, or I can.
You can't.
Oh, please let me say two. Can I please say two?
Of course.
One of them would be the Influence the Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. It'll change your life of understanding how the reptilian brain works. When you get an understanding of how that works in his 6 basic concepts, nothing will ever be the same. The other one is called, oh man, I'm forgetting it right now. It's called The Big Leap. It's called The Big Leap by Gay Hendrickson. And it helps us understand the thermostat and why we get stuck in ruts and what we can do to get ourselves out of that. I think those are two extremely powerful books.
Well, great. Thank you for sharing some knowledge, some wisdom, your story, and how you can help people.
Absolutely, brothers. Thanks so much for having me, gang. That's those of you listening. Thanks so much. Aloha, guys.
We'll make sure we get that link working, the ohcsystem.com/hustle. And Dr. Russ, thank you very much for being our guest today.
Thank you for playing along with me, guys.
We want you to have a great rest of your day, okay?
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.